Hello, Mary from Mary's Home Sweet Home Creations here, and I just wanted to show you the dough that I made today. Is a sourdough recipe that I just recently discovered, so I tried it again today, and I'm at the point now where I mixed all the ingredients and let it rise one time in a bowl with some oil, flipped it over twice, and it was in the round shape. Then I punched out all the air and cut it in half. So now this is going to become two round loaves, or you could make two longer loaves. I'm going to make one round loaf, and then I'm going to try making a cinnamon, maybe cinnamon raisin or just cinnamon bread out of one of them. So I just wanted to show you how I round those out. This one is going to be the round one. And the way that I watched everyone else do it, and when I grew up in the bakery, I used to watch them do bread, but I'm not sure I really observed well or comprehended what they were doing. I just watched. So once you pull in your sides, and then you can pull in your corners, and so you're kind of kneading it a little, but you're also making those folds in it that you need for the sourdough. And then once you get that done, then you can just roll it with your hands. And I don't need a lot of flour right now because the stove's pretty stiff. It's good and doesn't need more flour for sure. So we're just going to round it out like that using the palm and the heel of your hand. This is how you can make rolls, also round dinner rolls, which I want to try with this dough since I have discovered that it works well. Okay, and then normally, like last time, I put it on a greased pan, but then it rises and you can't really move it. So this time I'm just going to put it right on the stone, the Pampered Chef stone, so that I can bake it right on there and make it a little crustier crust than I had last time. So I'm going to lay, and I already put a little flour on that. So I have that one ready. And then this one, I'm going to roll out a little bit. And make the cinnamon. Now, since this is a sourdough recipe, I'm not sure what kind of dough I'm going to get, or what kind of cinnamon bread I'm going to get, because I haven't done it with this, but it's kind of an experiment. I know I just need to let it rise again pretty well, so let's see what happens. So then, once I have this rolled out, I can put let me grab my, where is it? Of course, because I didn't put it out here, I can't find it. Okay, so I'm going to just use this little brush to put I'm going to put butter on mine, and that knife sticky. Okay, so then I'm going to put butter down here like that with the brush. Now, Pampered Chef makes a silicone brush that looks really nice, so you could probably use that. I have the barbecue brush that they have, and I use that for some things, but for the dough, I'd probably use this little one anyways. Okay, and then I'm going to use the cinnamon that Pampered Chef has in their pantry called the corn. I'm still not sure how you say it, corn cinnamon. And I'm just going to put that in here. And I like cinnamon, and usually with cinnamon bread you like to make sure you get that flavor. So I'm going to put it pretty good, a lot of it in the middle. And then, boink, drop that. Okay, so, and then we're going to put some, little bit of cinnamon sugar in the middle. And that's another thing Pampered Chef has, is they have some nice shakers for like doing cinnamon sugar or powdered sugar. Okay. And then we're just going to roll it, starting with this smaller end. It's pretty even, but I want to try and make it into a whole loaf. So just keep rolling it there to the end, and then when you get to the end, then you have this little piece here, then you're going to take it and just kind of pinch it over the other piece to make it stay. And then you can do a little roll and push it together from the ends. Now I will leave those ends because I like that shape of it. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and put it over here on the stone to get it rising. Now I heated up that stone in oven for just about 15 minutes to get it warm. And now I'm going to go ahead and cover it, both of them, and I'm going to let them sit here. I have the oven warmed up, so there's more heat there, so that will help all that rise also. And when I'm all done rising it this time and then putting it in the oven, it's gonna bake for about 30 minutes. I'll come back and show you how it came out. Hello, I'm back, and while I'm waiting for the bread to rise and then bake, I was going to show you the cutout cookies that I'm going to be making. I normally make them for most holidays. I didn't do it for Easter, so since it's the spring new products from Pampered Chef, it's springtime even though there's snow outside here in Montana. And also it's Cinco de Mayo today, which a lot of people celebrate. And then also on the 17th is St. Patrick's Day. So I decided to make some cutout cookies today. So the recipe is the same as the other videos you may have seen of my cutout cookies. It's 1 cup of butter or margarine, 1 cup of sugar, 1 large egg, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 2 tablespoons of baking powder, 3 cups of flour, all-purpose flour, and it bakes at 400 degrees for 6 to 7 minutes. So they're pretty easy recipe to make up the dough, and you bake it on an ungreased cookie sheet. So the only thing you need to have is a cookie sheet and some cutouts to make your cutout cookies, depending on what kind you're doing. Also the ingredients, those ingredients to make the dough. So the dough gets rolled out and then you cut your cookies out. So right now I have an egg and a cup of sugar in there, and I'm going to add the butter to that. And the butter should be softened when you put it in so that it mixes well with the dough, with the flour and everything, all the ingredients. And 1 cube of butter is a 1/2 cup. So 2 cubes of butter is a whole cup. Now, it tells you, I use the paddle to kind of scrape it up. It tells you right on the package, if you're not sure, you don't remember, this way. It tells you how many tablespoons, and if it's a 1/2 cup, this goes all the way to a 1/2 cup. There's 8 tablespoons in a 1/2 cup. So sometimes it'll be, you know, a 1/4 cup is right in the middle of this 1 cube. So a 1/4 cup is 1/2 of a cube, and the whole cube is a 1/2 cup. Okay, and there's 8 tablespoons. So in a 1/4, there's only 4 tablespoons. In the whole 1/2, there's 8. So that's how you can figure it out if you don't remember. And they make it pretty easy for you if you use that type of butter. If you use a whole pound of butter that's not marked, then you're going to have to kind of guesstimate, figure it out by, some people weigh it, some people just cut it in 4 equal parts like you would have in the cubes to figure it out. So math is always important when you're making things. Baking and measuring comes in handy. Some things are made pretty easy for you. Some things you have to think a little bit and figure it out, depending on what you're making and what products you have, what kind of measuring spoons and measuring cups that you have. Pampered Chef makes a nice measuring spoons that are all in one. They slide back and forth, and I think that's one of the gifts with purchase this month. So check that out. They also have other measuring spoons and measuring cups for baking and cooking. So all those you can find on the website, my website, or in the catalog if you have the catalog. Which there is a virtual catalog at the bottom of the website. If you go there for my party, you go to the very bottom, and on the right hand side there's a virtual catalog. Okay, so now I have the 1 cup of butter, which was 2 cubes. I have a cup of sugar and 1 large egg. Okay, so first I'm going to go ahead and make sure this is going to go on. I think I brought it up. This one's my new one. So it works a little different, but it's nice and big. So we're going to just mix that all together. And you want to make sure that you go up slowly and off slowly so you're not jarring your motor of your mixer. And now I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla. So I have 3 different kinds of vanilla here. And I was going to talk to you about it because this is vanilla extract, which is pure vanilla, which is the most pure flavor, of course. And this is also a pure vanilla extract. Now, this particular one is gluten-free. This one is also gluten-free. I think most of your spices, not all, but most are, and also your flavoring. But I only have a little of each of these, so I went to the store to get more, and I found out how much pure vanilla is right now, and it's pretty outrageous. So this is what I got. I bought the imitation vanilla. So it's not as strong as a flavor as the pure, but, and it might have a couple other things in it, but for the price, I went with this one, and probably no one will even notice in these cookies. Okay, so that only calls for a teaspoon. Okay, I'm going to see how much of this other one I've left. I'm going to use what I have. I might have a whole teaspoon. Oh, I do. Okay, well, the next time I need vanilla, I'll have to open the big bottle that I bought. And then we're going to add we're going to stir that in slowly. Okay, so now we can scrape this down a little, the butter, because it's kind of crawled up the sides, and so that it will mix in well with the flour and the other ingredients. Okay, so you need to have a little spatula by your side, which Pampered Chef has some awesome spatulas, so you can look for those also when you go to order. They have one of my favorite ones, of course, is this one, but I'm not using it right now. And it has the scoopy in the middle, so you can actually use it as a spoon also. And my battery is running low, so I gotta plug it in here. And of course that happens like right in the middle of doing something. Come on, there we go. All right, so now that we've mixed in the vanilla, it calls for baking powder. Okay, so make sure you get that. I've done that before. Baking powder and baking soda, totally different. So you got to make sure you read your recipe, use the right product, okay? So we need 2 tablespoons of the baking powder. Teaspoons. Did I say table? 2 teaspoons. So I'm going to go in here and take out 1, shake it level. You should do that with your flour, any of your flour, baking soda, baking powder. Okay, there's 1, and we'll level off another, and there's 2. Okay, and then we are going to add the flour. The flour is going to be 3 cups of flour, so we're going to add that in a cup at a time and slowly. I also wanted to show you this. This is my baking powder. I needed new baking powder, and this comes in 2 of these large cans at Sam's Club. So it's also gluten-free there. So yeah, you get 2 whether you want to or not, because you always buy in bulk there. So I have enough baking powder to last me the rest of my life, I think. But anyways, it will lose its oomph after a while, so you kind of have to replace it sometimes. But this one, it will last me a long time. Okay, so 3 cups of flour. And we're going to start with 1. And I'm using all-purpose Montana wheat flour, since we're in Montana and they just happen to have it now, like right where I can find it. And it's unbleached, so I can use it in my sourdough. things, you always want to use unbleached flour for sourdough products, or it kills the sourdough. Okay, so there's one. Okay, I have my second one ready. I'm going to start it up again to let it mix in. Slow it down, and then I can start adding this one in. Okay, there we got two. Shake out and level my third one. Get it ready. Speed this up just a tad and mix it up. Okay, and slow it down. Now I can start adding the third one. Okay, so yeah, you have to watch on some things to make sure you're not putting too much flour, because sometimes when you're making bread, if you haven't leveled off, or like if you have a cup that has a little lead lip on it, some of mine have that, it can kind of mess you up if you fill it all the way to the top, because then you have too much flour. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and speed that up. And then I'm going to go ahead and take it all the way down. Then I'm going to go in here and scrape the sides. You can scrape in between, but it was going pretty well. It wasn't really it was mixing up pretty nicely. Sometimes up on the paddle you'll get stuff. And then this particular spatula comes apart, but I like it. So it doesn't do anything. It just comes out of the hole. Okay, so then, yeah, it all looks pretty mixed up pretty nicely. So I'm going to give you a little looky of that. Okay, can you see it? I don't know if you can see that. It's a little dark. Oh, there you go. So you can see it's mixed up pretty well. Okay. And now I'm going to take it to the other side of the kitchen and roll it out, and then I'll show you the rest. Okay, so here I am over here at the cutting board, and I rolled out the dough. It's really nice dough. It's soft, so it rolls nicely, and you can get the thickness that you like depending on your cookie cutter. I happen to have these metal ones that I'm going to use today, and they're nice and thick, so they do go through the dough easily, but you don't really want to make them that thick or they never bake. So usually I do it, you know, a 1/2 inch to a 1/4 inch, depending on the cookie cutter. So once you roll it out and even it out best you can, this one's pretty easy because it's soft. And then you go ahead and make your designs. That's a butterfly. This is a little flower or sunshine. There's another little flower. This one is a tulip. And I have a bunny for Easter, even though Easter's not here yet. It's kind of late this year. I'm going to do a bunny. And Valentine's Day was already here, so I'm going to do a little heart. Hearts are always good for any time, because we should all love each other all the time. And that is a reminder. My little kitchen book says today, our voluntary thoughts not only reveal what we are, they predict what we will become. That was written by A.W. Tozer, which I don't know who he is, but and then it says, grant us, O Lord, that we may never forget who we are and who we serve. Amen. So, just little reminders for all of us in this time of year during Lent. And some people are fasting during Lent, so I'm trying to show some things that will be helpful on this particular spring party. Some Lenten things you can do for meals if you're fasting or doing the no meat Friday. There's lots of things you can have instead, and so I'm trying to add that in. Some people give up sweets, so these cookies might not be okay for some people. Some people give up social media and the internet altogether, so they're not going to be seeing that party or other things going on right now. But because of the situation in the world, a lot of people are still staying in touch with what's happening in the other side of the world. So I just wanted to show you this, even though I've done these before at other times. I thought it was a good time to do some spring flowers for this new spring products from Pampered Chef that are out. And I love spring, so I'm looking forward to when it really hits here in Montana right now. We're still having off and on snow, some rain. The other day we had fog, which is weird. Okay, and then you're going to take your little spatula and, well, I'm going to use this spatula just because it gets under there well. When I take them off, I use my little spatula like this, and Pampered Chef has some nice little ones to purchase also. And I'm going to use this bigger spatula to slide them off and put them on the cookie tray. And Pampered Chef also has nice trays for baking cookies. They're cookie trays, and they're modulars. You could do cookies in that. You could do cookies on the bake stone that I'm going to do the bread on. I'm just going to set them on this one so you can see. They also have nice cookie racks. See, I have these ones, and they're similar, but theirs are black, and they stand up, and you can have 2 layers, which looks really nice. I think it would be helpful to be able to do that, because when they're cooling, then you can have 2 separate racks going. Yeah, come on. Whoa, that one did a full flipper. Okay, so just want to give you an idea what they look like when they're all rolled out and cut. You can see, I might need a little more light in here. This is, let's see if I can get more light there. There we go. Okay, so this is the, I don't know why it's doing that dark thing, but it must be something I'm doing. But anyway, so you could see a little bit how the edges of them, they're all about the same height, so that they all cook evenly and don't burn. So you want to try to do that when you roll out your dough, to try and make them all the same. And then once these are on, they go for 7 minutes in the oven, and I will take them out, show them to you, and then you get to ice them any way you like to. Some people like a buttercream icing, some people like a hard icing, and some people just like a pour icing. I usually make it's kind of an in-between icing like that, and some people will use the where they actually draw it onto the cookie. My daughter has gotten very good at that. I tend to dip and then wipe the edges and then decorate it later. So just depends on how much time you have and what you want it to look like. But I know for sure these taste very good because I've done them so many times. I know the recipe. And I don't know anyone that doesn't like these cookies. So, okay, I'm going to turn you off and come back in a bit. Okay, I'm back to show you the cookies that are baked off. They're still, I let them cool for a little while and then I took them off. But I'm going to let them cool a little more before I ice them. There's the butterfly. You can do the little decoration with the body here and maybe some spots on it and even little eyes if you want. And then the tulip, you can make orange or yellow, or there's so many colors now. Purple, they change colors now. They have so many colors, varieties. And since I'm married to a Van Lieshout, who's a Dutch, both his parents are from Holland, so the tulips in Holland are gorgeous. And I've never been there, but I've seen pictures of all the tulips, and it is unbelievable. So I do have some tulips in my yard right now, but when I move, I probably won't be able to have tulips. But this one, you could put, there's little lines in them, you know, where the petals are. You could put that in there. You could make the stem green. And then there's the heart. You could make that whatever color you'd like. And you could get a little writing tube. You can use a piece of parchment paper. And you make like a square piece of parchment paper. You fold it in half so it's triangle. Then you take it and you wrap it around your hand like a cone. And then when you fill it, you hold that pointy part and fill it with the icing. And then you just cut a very tiny tip off the end so you can use it as a writing tube or decorating. That's how some people decorate the whole cookie. Now the bread is rising, but it's not quite ready yet. And the icing, I'm going to be making up and decorating them. So I will show you the end result of these. And I can show you the round one. I really want it to rise a little more. So I'm going to let it go for a little bit. And this is the cinnamon loaf that I made, remember? And it's getting there. I think I'm going to be putting this one in before the round one. And I did put it in a bread pan because I wanted it to keep its shape. And if I was afraid if I leave it on the stone, it will lose its loaf shape. So I'm going to bake that off in the loaf pan. And Pampered Chef also has some nice stoneware besides the stone that I'm using to bake the bread and for pizza. They have a stoneware for bread, and then they have some for pies and many different types. So you should check those out too in the on the website. They are right now for people who have a party. If you book a party in March, you can get any item in the catalog for 60% off. So just for having a party with your friends. So think about that. And there's also other rewards depending on what kind of party you have. There's so if you're interested in having a party, make sure you message me and let me know. And I'd love for you to get all the rewards that go with that. And so I'll be back to show you the end result of both of these. Okay, so here are the cookies. They're all iced. And I put them on top of the pan, so when I ice mine, they drip onto the pan instead of all over whatever you set them on. And so I got a little psychedelic with these, kind of springy looking. So I have like some yellow suns with the blue in the center and some gold glitter. I have some butterflies with the blue and yellow and gold sprinkles. Some tulips that are kind of striped with the turquoise little bead, sugar beads. And hearts that are kind of tie-dye-ish with the turquoise beads. And the little flowers, I put these little flowers on the center that I had put on there. And I used a fork to do some of these designs on it. And it came out pretty cool. This one is a tulip with the little sugar turquoise balls, and it has the yellow and orange going on in it. Then I made the bunnies, and they were kind of sensitive. A couple of them broke, like that one just did again. So their ears, you gotta be careful with those ones. And these probably could have gone maybe a couple more minutes longer, and they might not have been as fragile. But I put these unicorn mix on top of them because I like that stuff. This is the last piece of dough after cutting out all those cookies. This is all I had left. So if you need to make a lot of cookies, you probably want to do double this recipe, because I got everything cut out and I had that one little piece, so I baked it up. And then the bread came out, and this one is just a tiny little French bread loaf. We'll see how it is inside. And this is the cinnamon loaf that I showed you when I made it, and it came out pretty nice. And we'll see what the inside of that looks like. But I am going to take, once it's cooled off completely, I might put a little bit on there now so you can see. This is just powdered sugar, a little bit of butter, and milk. Okay, and then for the colors, I added some dye. Didn't mix it all the way up so it could get a little tie-dye looking and different. And so this white that's left, I'm just going to take the fork and lace it across here. And just, this is how my dad used to do them in the bakery. He had the icing on top. And it's really good that way, of course. So we're going to let that set on there. Now, because it's the spring look, everything else has, so I thought I would even put some other colors on here, like this one, little peachy color now, mixed in, and maybe the blue, just a tiny bit of blue, maybe. Okay, so there, it's all festive for Mardi Gras, Cinco de Mayo. If it was already, no, St. Patrick's, I would put some green in there. There's a little green in these cookies. And so, yeah, you can do lots of things, anything you want with cookies and decorating. Use your creativity. That's what my website's about, is helping people get creative and learn to cook and do the things that make it easy, but also enjoy your family and make your home where everyone loves to be. Okay, well, I will see you again soon, and you have a beautiful evening, morning, or afternoon whenever you watch this video.